Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Identity, the 2003 psychological thriller mystery movie. This is an extremely good movie. I love this movie, right? I remember I saw this on TV back when I was probably in college and stuff. Ah man, 2003. You know, even though the country was going through a war at that time and the economy was like obliterated and everything to where the US dollar meant absolutely nothing, it was still better times than what we're living in now. That's for sure. Oh boy. Anyways, so like this movie it's very fascinating, right? Some think of it as a horror movie. I don't. I just really don't. It never seemed like a horror movie to me. But this movie is based on a novel by Agatha Christie. And then where was it? And then there was none. And so, like, they even reference the novel or technically the movie, because they made a movie off the novel with the same name. There's been tons of different adaptations, to tell you the truth, based on this novel, and they even reference it in like the movie and stuff. But I've never read the novel and I've never seen the movie is based on, but this is just an adaptation of it. And it's very fascinating and it really makes you think. And then when you get to that twist ending, you will either love it or you will absolutely hate it. This movie is captivating, it's mesmerizing, it's confusing, it's fascinating. It just really makes you think. And it really makes you think about mental illness and everything. Because once you get to that, that third act reveal and that twist reveal and everything, it's just kind of like, no way. But then you're kind of like, no, I don't know how I feel about that. Because like I said before, you're either going to think it's genius or you're going to think it's completely stupid. Or you're going to think once the reveal was revealed, the movie should have just ended right then and there. And they shouldn't have added on that extra bit. Because that extra bit can get a bit confusing because now you're just kind of like, well, what the heck is the point? And then sometimes when watching this movie, you will have that sense of feeling of it was all a dream vibe. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a dream. But you will get that sense and everything. And that might ruin it for you. And so, the person who directed this movie was James Margold. And so the person who wrote this movie, and I just got through talking about this guy a couple of days ago when I reviewed another movie. Michael Cooney, the dude who made the Shelter, aka Sick Soul movie. I said it before. He basically took the premise of his Identity movie, changed the plot around and everything, and made it into like a supernatural horror movie. And a lot of people just didn't like that when it came to Shelter, aka Sick Souls, because I already told you they changed the name once it went to digital. Because a lot of people's all like, well, what the heck does this have to do with Shelter? So Sick Souls would have just been a whole lot better. But yeah, so he basically just took his Identity movie and just reworked it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people didn't like that and felt it was unoriginal. But when it comes to Identity, I actually recognize a lot of the cast. A lot of these people I have seen in other projects. I just didn't really know it at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so this movie, when I first watched it on television, right? I told you this before a few times. I came in somewhere a couple of minutes after the beginning of the movie. I started watching it around the time, a couple of the cast came into this hotel with this bloody woman. So I never saw the beginning with the older big guy, the bald headed guy and stuff, Malcolm Rivers. Like I didn't see that part with him. So if I would have saw that part, then watched the rest of the movie, I might not have liked it. But then again, I still might, but probably not. Because like I said before, that twist ending, it really got to me and everything. Like I was just like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that before. So if I would have seen the very, very beginning part of this, I probably would not have liked it. And I would have done that whole like, oh, it's just a dream vibe type thing, right? Now, there are two different versions. When I watched this on television, I'm not sure which version I really watched. There's a theatrical version and there's a director's cut. It's not the director's cut's on the DVD. I watched the director's cut and it feels like the same version I watched on television. So I'm not sure what the theatrical version is like. So I'm probably going to watch that just to get some kind of comparison. And then I'm probably going to, I don't know, I haven't watched commentary in a long time. Audio commentary. So it might be a while since I watched that. I probably should have watched that before I did this review just so I know what the director and like writer was thinking about and this and that, but yeah, I don't care. And stuff. And so the people who are in this movie, like I said before, I've seen them in so many things before, except for a few of them. A few of them I haven't seen them in nothing. John Cusack, he is the main star of this and he plays Ed. He's a chauffeur and a former cop. Now, I've never seen John Cusack in anything, and still to this day, I haven't, except for this movie. John Cusack's an interesting man because since 2010, he's mostly been in direct to DVD movies. I guess it's because he's pissing people off politically. Basically, it's like this. It doesn't matter if you're a fan or you're a celebrity. If you don't agree with that man's politics, he will block you. And I'm not even joking. It don't even matter if you're super famous. Block. So it's probably pissing some folks off in Hollywood to where he's not getting these major movies no more. You have Ray Liotta. Oh, yeah, by the way, I just now realized this when rewatching this movie. This movie is entirely white. There's not a single person of color in any way, shape, or form in this movie. And this was back in 2003. And so just like I said, this is why woke Hollywood is the way it is with woke culture and everything. And it's because you have to have these different races in movies because there are different races in the world. And it just baffles me when you see that this movie is entirely white with the primary cast and the B cast. You would assume that maybe the B cast would probably have a people of color, but nah, none whatsoever. So it just baffles me, man. See, this is old Hollywood for you. This is why you need diversity in movies. So you have Ray Liotta, and he plays Samuel. And throughout the movie, he is a cop, but there's something fishy about this guy. You have Amanda Peet, who I've never seen before. Oh, by the way, I've seen Ray Liotta in lots of stuff, and oh, may he rest in peace. It's so sad that dude died 2 years ago. You have Amanda Peet, and she plays Paris. I've never seen her in anything before or after this movie, but she's pretty good in the movie. And then, you get a couple of like other people. You have Malcolm Hawk. No. I'm getting that confused. Hold on. You have that, Alfred Molina. He plays Dr. Malik. And I've seen him as, of course, Dr. Octopus just prior to this. And this dude is such a good actor and stuff. You have, let's see. John Hawk. That's it, not Malcolm Hawk, but John Hawk, and he plays Larry. I've seen this dude in a couple of movies, like I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Briscoe County Jr., and some other stuff. I can't remember what it was, but I know I saw him in something. But yeah, I've seen this dude in like everything, man. You have what's her name? Say Clea Duvall. She plays Jenny, and I've seen her in a couple of TV shows and movies. She was in the Faculty, the Lizzie Borden movie and television series. And oh wait, let me get back to this. So Amanda Pete's Paris character, right? She plays a hooker, and that's it. Oh boy. Dr. Malik, he is trying to get the court system to not execute a murderer because he believes this murderer has personality, no, what is it? Identity disorder, whatever it's called, identity personality disorder, where you have like multiple personalities in your head, you know? So he's trying to do that. John Hawk, he plays Larry. He's the hotel manager. So these people are all stuck in a hotel, similar to what that novel's about. The novel's about like a bunch of people stuck at a hotel, and like they're cut off from the rest of the world, and everybody dies one by one. And that is the premise of this movie. It's a bunch of people who are literally stuck at a motel, and it's raining, the streets are flooded, they can't see, they can't get in or out, the phone systems are messed up, people's cells aren't working, and people just start dropping off one by one, and they're wondering who the heck is murdering people. And so let's see what the rest of the cast. You have John C. McGinley. He plays George. And I've never seen him in nothing, but I believe he was in Scrubs. And he's just like, you know, a stepfather to a little boy named Timmy. He has a wife, and his wife is hit by a car when he's trying to change the flat tire. You have Jake Boozy, and this dude, you know, his famous father, you know, this dude's been in so much stuff. I saw this dude in Shasta McNasty, that UPN show that lasted for about like a season. I think he was also in, what was it, Starship Troopers and stuff like that. Dude's been in like everything. He was also in Freakish season 2. And I just still remember it. I forget what Shasta Monasty's about. I just remember it was about a bunch of crazy dudes. 3 guys, I think they were roommates, and they were just like off the wall, like insane and stuff. An old UPN show. Boy, I remember UPN from back in the day. And then you got William Lee Scott, and he plays Lou. Now, Lou and Jenny, they're just married. And so the movie starts off with basically like, you know, this one guy named Malcolm Rivers. And Malcolm Rivers is like, you know, a convicted murderer. And so he has multiple personalities rattling around in his head. So Dr. Malik is like trying to get the courts to be all like, hey, look, man, all these personalities don't know who they are. And it's not Malcolm's fault, it's one of these personalities. But they don't know which personality is going around killing people, right? So you get these people, and they're stuck in a hotel. And we get to see how they all got stuck there. You have Paris, who is just driving from Nevada to Florida to be back on where she was born. And she's made enough money and being a hooker, and so she just wants to leave Las Vegas and stuff. And her clothes fall out her convertible, and her shoe falls out. While driving, George and his family run over her shoe, get a flat tire. And while he's changing it, he was listening to something called the Anti-Garnish. and he keeps reciting it, right? And so as he's trying to fix the tire, you have Ed, who's driving around a actress from like the 80s, and he runs over George's wife in the middle of the night. And so everybody's panicking, everybody's like freaking out. And so like he goes and he drives George and his family to this motel that Larry runs, right? And by that time, Paris is already there. So I think he gets in her car because he's running out of gas or something like that. And he takes her car and he drives. And then she tells him, you know, look, man, it's like you're not going to be able to get out of town because there's like a flood. So they go and the streets are completely flooded. So then they find George and Jenny and they hop in their car. And so, like, you know, they head back to the motel. Now, Ed's a very aggressive man. If he tell you to do something or he asks for something and you don't, he will grab you and stuff like that. Like he's very forceful. But we later find out that he's a former cop. Now, while all this is going on, Samuel and his convict, played by that of Gary and everything. No, what did I say his name? Not Gary Busey, that's the father. What did I say the son's name was from Shasta Monastic? Jake. So, like, you know, I think he plays a person named Robert, I believe. And so he is stranded. His car is running out of gas or some crap like that. His radio's not really working. And so, like, he has to stay at the motel. And so they try to patch up, like, you know, George's wife the best way, like, they can, right? And so while all this is going on, the first person to die is the actress because she realizes she finally has a couple of bars on her cell phone. By the way, this is an old cell phone. They got cell phones from the 90s, not the 2000s, but the 90s. Those big, long, black kind that flip open and stuff. And for some reason, while it's raining, they think it's smart to hold the phone in the rain trying to get bars. That's going to mess the phone up, but yet it never does in the movie. So she's trying to, like, you know, get some bars. She goes off from, like, the hotel on this place that's, like, Native American burial ground and everything because somebody put the hotel there. And so she gets attacked by somebody unknown. And so she is the first one to go. But when they're examining, like, but they don't see her body nowhere. They actually find her severed head in the dryer. And in the dryer with the severed head, they find a a motel key with the number 10 on there. So they're not sure what this is supposed to reference, right? So the cop, Samuel, he realizes room 10 is his. So they go back and the convict has escaped. And so like they assume it's him. So they start looking for him and everything, right? And so like I said before, a lot of people just start going missing and or dying and stuff. So then the next, you know, is like Lou and Jenny are arguing because she's not happy, he's not happy, and they're newlyweds, like they just got married, right? And she starts to see him start to hit on the hooker girl. And so she tells him, I'm not pregnant. Like I just lied because my friend saw you talking to this other woman one time. So she only lied about like the pregnancy to make him marry her, which is such a low down thing to do. Like I hate when women do crap like that. So they have a huge argument and she just starts like acting frantic, hollering and screaming, locking herself in the bathroom. He's trying to kick open the door. Then all of a sudden she stops hearing banging and she finds him dead. And so she sees an axe coming towards, like, you know, the shadow of it coming towards her, and she runs out and gets help. So he is now, when they go to examine his body, he has the key number 9. So they're realizing somebody's knocking them off one by one. And so, like, then, like, basically everybody just dies in a mysterious way, but you never see nobody kill nobody, right? So at some point, This is the part that gets really interesting. That starts to make you think, well, hold up, what the heck is going on? Is there a paranormal element going on here? Because then you see Robert the convict, he's running in the field and he sees like this abandoned like building. He breaks into it, gets inside it. But when he looks out the window, he's right next to like the hotel rooms. And it's just like, how the heck did he get back to the motel? He's very, very, very far away. And there's no way he could be right in the smack dab center of the motel. So then that makes you think there's a paranormal element going on. He gets recaptured and retied back up. And somebody reveals that, oh, this used to be Native American burial ground, and then somebody put like a motel here. So could evil spirits be doing something, right? Similar to that of like Pet Cemetery. And so then you start to see some shadiness with some of the characters. The cop Samuel, he has a giant wound in the back of his shirt and tons of blood, but he's perfectly okay. So that makes you think, what the heck happened? Who shot or stabbed him? And if he's okay, then he must not be like a cop. Then you have Larry, who has like tons of money and tons of IDs and stuff like that. And it's just really odd and bizarre. Like, what the heck is going on with him, right? So at some point in time, when a bunch of craziness starts happening and stuff, they go find the convict, and he has Larry's baseball bat shoved completely down his throat. So they think, oh, it's Larry. So they start like, interrogating Larry. Larry scares all like, hey, look, man, I didn't do all this. But then he finally confesses to what's really going on. Because they found the dead body in like the fridge. And so they know it must be Larry, right? But then here's the craziest thing. Larry tells them, hey, look, I lost all my money in Vegas. I headed out here. I got like stranded. I came to like this motel, but the motel clerk died of a heart attack. And so I put his body in the freezer long enough to like keep it preserved. So when, the cops and everybody can come in the morning once the flood is over, that they can like, examine the body. But then people started checking in. So he just pretended to be the manager, and it made those people happy and it made him happy. So they don't believe it except for like Paris, right? And so like, cause he also had like the main keys and all this other crap. But then before all this happened, he accidentally ran over George. He was trying to get the heck on out of there because they was accusing him of stuff, because he had all the master keys and all this other stuff. So he's trying to hightail it in the truck. And he almost ran over Timmy. George jumped in front of it and he smashed George up against like a building. So this is after, when that happened, then they tied him up and he confessed and all this other stuff. But here's the craziest thing. They start finding more keys, right? They found number 8, but then they found number 6. They did not find number 7. But then they later found number 7 with that of George's body. So they're all like, well, hold up. George died by an accident. So why does he have a key next to him, number 7 and everything, right? So then your mind starts to think, what the heck is going on? And then you have to remember that whole Native American burial ground. But it's like, could they really go that far-fetched in that direction? Well, at some point in time, George's wife dies. And then she has a key next to her. But she was already bleeding and everything. But then she seemed fine. And then all of a sudden, she's dead now. So it's crazy, right? And so then they tell, like, Paris, and well, before all that happens, they start to talk and see what they might have in common, because somebody brought up that book I told you about. And so they realize something. Everybody out of their first or last name is named after a state, and everybody has the exact same birthday, just a different year. They know it's not a coincidence. And then you just kind of like, man, this is getting good. Like, what is this going to reveal? So then we go back to Dr. Malik, and they're still talking to like a judge and all these other people talking about Malcolm Rivers killed all these people. He had no idea he did it. And so like, he should be put in a mental hospital and not executed. And so you start to think, okay, maybe Malcolm went over there and killed those people. But then you're like, wait, hold up, some people died of accident. So what the heck could happen, right? So at some point in time, he tells, like, Ed tells, like, Jenny and Paris, get little Timmy on out of here, take the car, find civilization, and come back over here with help. Well, Paris had to go get something, but then Timmy and what's her name? Jenny go to the car and the car explodes off screen and we don't see no bodies, right? So it's like, hold up, where's Jenny and little Timmy's body? Like, because Larry at this point is free because they know it's not Larry no more. And then they go back to where all the other dead bodies are, and all of the dead bodies have disappeared. So it's like, okay, there has to be a paranormal like type thing, right? But then it's like, oh no, wait, hold up, hold up. What has the beginning of this movie been talking about? Mental illness and multiple personalities and everything. So then your mind starts to click a little bit. And when they finally reveal Malcolm at the hearing, it's no longer that bald-headed big guy no more. Now it's Ed. And it's just kind of like, hold up, how is Ed here at this court hearing type thing? And why is he in a straitjacket? And when we first originally saw the other dude, and they revealed to Ed that, look, Ed, you're not real. You're just a fake persona that Malcolm has created. And so then your mind starts to think, well, wait, hold up. So what does Malcolm really look like? Does he look like that bald big guy, or does he look like Ed? Like, what does he really look like? So your mind starts like wandering, like, what the heck? And it makes you think, you know what I'm saying? But then they tell him, hey, look, man, we're trying to not get you executed. You have a rare disorder to where all of a sudden all your personalities share the same consciousness and they start to die off one by one. And so he's all like, look, the court system might not execute you if you can find out which persona is going around killing people and get rid of that persona, and then your mind will be clear, and then we'll just put you in a mental hospital and everything because that murderer tendency in you will be gone. Hey, look, I don't know, this is sci-fi, you know what I'm saying? But whatever, I'm in for it. So they're like, you have to go back into your mind, Ed, and find out who is the killer. Well, at this point in time, there's only 3 people left living. There's Ed, there's Samuel, and there's Paris. And we noticed something shady about Samuel. So Ed's back inside his mind, and the real face is actually the bald-headed guy. So Ed's there, and he's not realizing, like, what the heck, man, but, whatever. So then Paris finds out something about the cop. When she goes to his cop car, the radio has been destroyed. He keeps saying that, it goes in and out. He doesn't want nobody using it. She opens up the trunk and she finds a dead body. So it turns out that Samuel is actually also a convicted felon. Him and Robert are buddies. And this is how the shirt got that wound and all the blood. He had a shank and he stuck it through the car seat and stabbed the cop and killed him and put him in the trunk and pretended to be a cop. So at some point in time, I think I think Samuel and Ed start fighting and they start chasing each other, and they both have guns and they just shoot the crap out of both of each other, and both of them die. And so then you start to see Paris being the only person left alive, and she's repeating that Antigonish poem and everything. Now at some point in time, Ed was also saying it. So that started to make you think, why is he saying it when George used to say it? So now, because everybody's dead in his mind except for one personality, and Paris is a pretty good person, the courts realized that, you know what, maybe Malcolm isn't as bad as they thought. Maybe it was a personality that go around killing all those folks all those years ago. So they decided not to execute him, and put him back in the mental place where he's being transferred. Now, personally, me, I think this movie should have ended the moment Ed realized he was a personality and it's really Malcolm and everything. Then that could have been like, oh, but then that would have been like, oh, it's just a dream type thing. But this other part that's tacked on there, it is pretty fascinating, right? So you see Paris and Florida, and everything, and she's out in her yard, and all of a sudden there's a person standing over her with a gardening tool, tapping it really hard, and you'll never guess who it is. It's little Timmy. He survived the car explosion because he faked his own death. It was actually little Timmy, the persona, that's going around killing all the people in the motel. So they show glimpses of him attacking people, while they also show glimpses of like Malcolm attacking people in an apartment complex many years ago for what he was convicted of. And so it was little Timmy all along. You would have never guessed the little boy who was quiet throughout the entire movie and looking all shy and innocent was actually the killer. But one thing don't make sense was like the body height of it all. Because when he attacked the actress, she turned around and looked at somebody at her same eye length and screamed. But Timmy's a whole lot shorter than her. If she would have looked down, and that would have gave away who the killer is. And so, of course, he killed Paris and everything and got away with it. Then the real Malcolm murdered Dr. Malik and whoever else in the car, transferring him to the mental hospital. This is a very complex, freaky movie, man. Because they give you so many clues as to think who the killer could be before you realize this is all in somebody's head. Like, first you think, could it be Ed? He's a former cop. He's very aggressive. Then you start to think, you already suspected like Samuel from the start when he revealed the back of his shirt and everything. But then at one point you think it's Robert as well. But then you start to think it's like a magical, supernatural thing with the Native American burial ground. And so they kept having you think, like, who could it be? And then when you thought the obvious choice was Samuel, you thought, oh, okay, well, he's the killer. Because you think Timmy got blown up, but he faked his death. This is like a twist upon a twist upon a twist, and it's very fascinating. It also makes you stop and think about real mental illness and real personality disorders and stuff. Because a lot of people, there probably are some people who try to get away with murder convictions because of this and everything, or they just say they're mentally ill just to say they're mentally ill just to get away with it. It's just one of those movies that come along and you're just like, wow, man, you either love it or you hate it, or you loved it in the beginning or you hate it later on, But like, it has grown like a small following since like 2003, And I don't know, man. It's just like, I think it's on Tubi, I think, right now. It was in October, but I don't know about now. But it's just one of those movies, man, that's just so utterly fascinating. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.